Hello everyone. In this session, we will see about static variable, static method, and static block, which are very important concept to improvise your programming language in Java perspective or in automation perspective. Whenever you are testing your web applications, you will have a different classes, different frameworks, which completely depends on these static variables and static methods. Mostly static block you might not use, but static variables and static methods are mostly used in your all of the frameworks that you are designing for Selenium. So in order to have that kind of knowledge, you need to know these two for sure, so that you can design your web application automation in a very organized way. Now, let's know about what is this static variable, static method, static block, and then we will jump to an example and show you how that works, right? So let me take you through a basic definition and features of static variable, static method, and static block. So what is this static variable? Static variable is different from an instant variable. So instant variable is a normal variable which you declare like int a is equal to 10 or int b is equal to 10. That kind of variables are called an instant variables. If you want to access those variables, you need an object. You need to create an object for a class and then only you can access that instant variables. But for static variables, you need not need any object creation. You can just directly access those static variables if you are trying to access from the same class. And if you are accessing the static variable from a different class, you need to access it using a class name. You no need of creating any object. Again, the same concept applies for static method as well. If you are trying to access your static method in the same class, then you need not create any object. You can directly call that method. And if you're trying to access the static method from a different class, you can access it through a class name. And static block. What is the static block? This is just a block which is having a multiple statements within a static block. You have a static keyword and you open the brackets, just write some statements and close it. That's a static block. So static block is executed first. If you have a same program of a class, and if you are running that program, this is the first statement that is executed, or this is the block that is first executed, then the other statements followed in the main block. We will see it in an example. And if you are trying to access the static block from a different class, you need not directly access it, but it will automatically run. The static block is an automatic block which is run or which need not be called anywhere. It's automatically called. But if you are trying to call, you are if you are using a different class, then this static block will be executed only if you have a reference. That means only if you are trying to access any variable or any method of a different other class, then only this static block will be executed. So we will see in an example in a clear way if you are not able to catch here, since it's new for you. And keywords is which we are using here is static, right? Now let me switch to Eclipse and let me give you a small demo on this. I'm going to create a package, new package, static examples. So I'm going to create a new class again, static method variable block examples. So I'm just putting the name so that you can easily grab it. Okay. Now this will be my main method. Okay, let me write a main method here. Public static void main. So I'll be writing some main method. So let me take a class, one more class here, class static examples, right? Now I'm going to create a normal variable. I'll call it as int title is equal to knowledge share. Okay, so I am giving code now. If I try to access, okay, let me give in a, okay, sorry, this is a title, right? So let me take it as string. Okay, now if I try to, let me try to access this here, system.out.println, title is TATL. Okay, did you observe here, if I point out to this error, what it says, title cannot be resolved to be to a variable. That means this is an instant variable and you are trying to access it in a static block, right? So that's the reason this error is getting triggered. Now what I'll do is I'll create, if I want to access this title keeping this string same, what I will do, I'll create an object. I can create an object of static examples. Okay, static examples obj is equal to new static examples, right? Now I'll say obj dot. Now you can see, now I can access the title, right? Obj dot title, or I can store it in any string variable. String abc is equal to obj dot title. That means I'm able to access it. Okay. Now if I don't want to create any uh, sorry, if I don't want to create any object, and but still if I want to access this title, then where you will be using a static concept. Okay, let me comment this. Okay, see, now this title is throwing error, right? Now I'll change this to static. Okay, and I'll say it as public static. Okay, now I can fix this by using static examples dot title. Okay, right. Now I am able to access this variable. Let me take public as well. So you can see I can access the static variable title by using the class name of this thing. I'm not creating any object. That's the thing you have to remember here. This is the concept of static variable. Now let me create a static object. Okay, or just first let's take a method. I'll call it as public void method, sorry, public void display, and I'll write some method display the title and place. I'll call it as title again. Okay, so now this title will be printed here. Now let me try to access this method. Okay, I'll call it as static examples dot display. See, I'm not seeing anything, right? Static examples dot display. If you see here, change display to static. So this is a void, just a void method or a function. You do not have a static, but you're trying to access this method using a static block of a main method. That's the reason it was telling you to change display to static. Now I'm going to change display to static. See, now the error is gone. So now if I run this program, the first statement that is printed is main method. The second statement that it will print is knowledge share. And the third statement that is going to print is display the title and then the title here which we accessed. Right? Let me run this program. Yeah, you can observe here main method title is, okay, title is knowledge share and the method which we accessed, right? Now coming to static block, I'll be writing some static block here. I just declared a static keyword and then I'll write some statement. This is a static block. Okay, Now let me run this program. You can observe here it printed a main method and then it printed this is a static block. That means you have a reference, right? So since you have one at least one reference, it's printing a static first and then the title and then these two statements, right? So now let me comment these two, okay, and let me run now. See, do you see this static block is getting printed? No. Why? Because we are not making any reference to this class. Earlier we have an title and a display that is referencing to this method and a variable. That is the reason this static block is getting printed. Now since we commented this and made no reference to the other class, the static block is not executed, right? So let me uncomment this and let me just put one line of code which is having a reference for a title. Okay, let me comment this. Now let me run this. See, now if you see this is a static block which is executed after a main block. Okay, and then this is executing the no, title which is this statement which is calling the static examples dot title. That means this one. So that's the importance of static block. If you want to execute a static block whenever a reference is made to this class, then you can use a static block. Or if you want to print any statements or if you want to do some operations whenever some object from a different class which is outside is trying to access this class, then you can write all those statements in the static block which will automatically be executed before any before executing all the functions or all the variables, all the methods. It will do some prerequisite operations, so that you will come to know when you are practically implementing this in your automation scripts, right? Now let me take this here in this example we have used a different class. One class is this and other class is this. Now let me take another example within the same class. Static examples, same class. Okay, now let me create a main method. Main method. Now let me create some variables here. Int or int x is equal to 10. Okay, and I'll create a method public void display int x value is or x value is x. Okay, now let me run this program. See, just only main method is declared. Now if I want to print or call this method, see, I'll just say display. See, am I able to access this method? No. Why? Because change display to static. It is saying change display to static. Because if I want to access this static, this is an instant method. That means I need to create an object to access this. But now I don't want to create any object. So I'll just simply change this to static and see now the error is gone. And since we changed this to static, it is not able to access this X as an instant variable. So again, this is one issue. Now again, let's see what error here it shows. Change X to static. So I'll change X to static. See now, this is static, this is static. So I have accessed the static method directly without any reference or creating any object. In the same way, I can access X also. So I'll show you how to access X. System dot out dot println. I'll simply say I'll simply print X. Okay, let me call X. See, it didn't display any error because since these are static and I'm accessing in the same class, I don't need to create any object, or I did not use the class name to call it as we have seen here in this example. Simply I can directly access it without any reference. Now let me run this program. See, X, first this statement is printed and next display is printed, X value is 10. Now let me write some static block here. Static, this is a static block. Now let me run this. See, if you observe the difference between these different two classes and the same class, this is a static block. This static block is executed at the beginning of the script. Even this main method is not executed first. It directly executed a static method and then it executed the main method first line and the second line and the third statement, right? That's the difference between a different accessing a static block from a different class and a same class. Okay, just keep this in mind. So I'll just write here static block is called first before the before 19th statement, so that you will remember this. So soon I'll be pushing these examples to a Git repository so that you can just import and practice. Okay, so yeah, that's all. Just keep in mind these statements or these definitions that will be helpful in your interview point of view as well. Okay, can be called out object creation, okay, using class name, all these things you just keep in mind so that it will be helpful for you even in the automation perspective. Just practice with random examples, create a class, create some static variables, some instant variables, try to do some mix matches, and then try to execute the program so that when you get the errors you will learn and you will know the exact concept of static. Okay, most of the persons who are working in automation, they are not aware of static, but they will be using static variables and static methods. But when we ask them, it's a bit confusion for everyone, of course. So I think if now you are clear about what are the static methods, static variables, and static blocks. So that's all for now, and we'll meet up with the other concept in the next session. Thank you and have a nice day.